If you enjoy to play chess, if you have chess goals and you want to improve the quickest way possible and the easiest way possible, and where you learn the most, and if you consider chess to be an art form like I do, and you share a deep passion for the game, and you want to become the best player you could possibly be because that is you expressing yourself on the chessboard in a very unique style, then welcome in, my friends. You're at the right place. And today we're going to be learning how to climb the rating ladder as quickly as possible. This is going to be a very instructive guide for you guys, and we're going to start off at 1000 elo on Lichess, and we're going to try and climb all the way up to 2000. That is my goal. I think that's a pretty good range to stop at. Could go further, so if you guys want to go a bit further, we could. Let me know in chat and in the comments, and I will see if we can make it happen. So, starting off, we are going to start at 1000 elo, and in this first episode, I'm gonna tell you something that every single coach and every single player will tell you at this rating range, which is you should always consider starting by working on your fundamentals, which is the three chess principles. And those three principles are being controlling the center. So I've played d4 here, which controls the center, and this is a very key thing to do in the openings. The second thing to do is to develop your minor pieces, so knights and bishops and whatnot. And the third principle is the castle. So right now we've got one of those three done. And this is really what you need to master the openings. I'm just going to play knight f3 here, which is developing a minor piece. And talking more on why it's important to master the openings, it is such a vital component of chess, and it will help you tons if you can master this properly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play a very normal and standard setup. So I'm not going to follow any chess theory. I'm just going to develop in an intuitive and in a simple fashion. So I can see that he's attacking my pawn and I need to develop a piece. So I think it's a very good idea to develop this knight here. And sure, we can play other stuff like we could have played knight takes e5, but all I want to do is just develop as quickly as possible. And the way you need to visualize, think of these positions is you need to think about the opening as a race. That's literally what gambits entail, basically. A gambit is a sacrifice of a pawn to have a lead in development, and by having that lead, you have a huge attack and lots of play to be had. So this is something that's really key, and you can see that right now we have two minor pieces developed. He has two minor pieces developed, and what I don't like about his move is this move here is not really it's not really helping black that much, because what it ends up doing is sometimes it hurts this bishop and it becomes hard to develop this bishop. You'd have to play something like b3 and bishop b7 here. So already a slight imprecision here, and what I'm gonna do is just continue to develop as quickly as possible. So I can see that the most natural square here to develop to is this bishop to c4, and the reason being that there's nothing that's being attacked in my position. Bishop to d6 doesn't really attack anything, and I need to get my bishop out to complete the third principle, which is castling. So I could choose to castle right now. I could choose to reinforce the first principle, which is to develop in the center, which could be like d3. This could be a very solid move. But since we want to get all three principles down, I think the best thing to do in this position is simply to castle. So that's what I'm going to do. I should also mention that I'll be playing many different openings during this this climb. So if you have any recommendations, or if you have anything you'd like to see specifically, you can let me know in chat. Okay, so knight c6. This is a good developing move. So notice that we have 3 developments, and we'll consider castling as development as well. So 4 developments, and black also has 4 developments. And now we have a question that we must answer, which is how are we going to develop our final minor piece, this bishop here. We could play something like b3, and bishop b2. We could play something like d3 and then get the bishop out. Or we can play something else which also looks very good to me, and it looks the most natural because it's combining two different principles in one move. And if you guys can find it, that's already a very good sign. The move is d4. And I enjoy this move very much because what it does is it controls more center. And he captures, okay. So logically we're going to capture back with our knight and not our queen. That would just lose a queen, so knight takes. And we have a clear path of development for our final minor piece. We can either play bishop to e3, supporting the knight. We can play more aggressively with bishop to g5. And this is why I like d4 instead of d3. It gives us more options now. It's more flexible. So I enjoy this move a lot. Let's see what he does. If I were to consider what would be the best way possible to develop for black here, I would say rook e8 is really natural. And this isn't a great move because you're moving the same minor piece twice in the opening. So what this does is it does attack our knight for a second time, and we can choose a way to solve this problem. We can either develop this bishop and defend, or we could move the knight away to maybe a better square. We could consider trading off, but I don't like trading off. And I'll explain why in the analysis. I should mention as well that I will be analyzing every single game here. So he's moved his bishop twice. What we can actually do is move our knight a second time because we are not bad in development here. So should we go to b3 or should we go to f3 is the question. Maybe even f5 is a possibility here. So it really depends. We can also maybe play knight b here, but then we get kicked away with a6. So that doesn't look good already. That's something I'd already discard. Bishop e3 looks like a very natural intuitive move, but I'm worried about knight g4 here. And the idea being that if we take, then he may have take. But again, you have to calculate properly. So if I go bishop e3, he goes here. What we can do here in this position is play knight takes c6, and his queen is under attack. He could try and play takes, attacking our queen, and then we take. He would take our queen, and we'd have to see who's better at the end of that line. I kind of like white in this position. But let's play something a bit more simple, just to hammer down on the importance of principles here. Let's just play knight f3 here. We don't need to take a very long time here. We have a very clear idea of playing e5 in the future, and this is because now, if you look at the position, white is the only player with a center pawn. Black has no center control in terms of pawns. Sure, you have very good minor pieces controlling the center, but what white has, black does not, and that is really important. So, okay. d6 is a very natural move. I think we should just finish our developments and then move on to the middle game. So I'm just going to play bishop g5. It doesn't make much sense to play bishop e3 now because he would just take and double our pawns, and that isn't really what we're looking for. And I think this is a fine development. We may have ideas of knight d5 now. So now we're entering the middle game, and notice that all our possibilities in the middle game, they are the fruit of how we play in the opening. So if you play the opening poorly, probably you're not going to have a great middle game. And if you play the opening exceptionally well, then you could have an excellent middle game, and you could have many advantages to choose from, tactics and whatnot. So this position looks really good, and like I said, knight d5 is now a really good looking move. Why? Because this knight is pinned, and by playing this move, it's threatening to double the pawns. And there's not really a clear way that black can stop this. h6 doesn't work because of takes, and then he has to take with the g pawn to not lose the queen. And then after that, there's just bishop takes h6, attacking the rook and with mating ideas along his king side. So let's let this guy have a think. It's always a good idea to consider what your opponent will play during his time to reflect. So this is something that is really good to do. Maybe he plays bishop g4, maybe he plays rook e8, but none of those address the problem of f6. And I don't think there is a proper way to address this without losing his pawn structure on the king side. So we'll give him a time to think. Okay, so he plays this move, which is interesting because it's saying if you take me here, then your bishop is loose and you have to address this problem here. So we can address this problem pretty easily. How should we start off? What we can do also is just play bishop takes f6 and then pawn takes. And what we get from this position is, again, the opens file for his king and doubling of his pawns. And we maintain all of our center control. We have a very nice centralized knight here. And our bishop is fine in this idea. If take, then bishop here, there would be takes. And that doesn't look as good. So we will play this bishop take. And now that his king side will open, it's a matter of how do we move our pieces to the king side. All of our pieces are basically going to have to try and shift over to this side of the board, and I'm seeing some more ideas already. So this looks really good. I am thinking what will happen after this move. We would have to play this, and I don't really care about him taking because this bishop opens up. And it's all about rerouting our pieces to the king side now. So I think that this is a really good move. We are joining the rooks, which is always a good principle to follow. We want these rooks joined so they can help each other in making progress on the chessboard. And it also allows us to bring our queen over to the king side, which looks really nice. Okay, so he plays f5, which is a good idea. It's a good idea to try and undouble your pawns. So I'm noticing now that this queen move here is even stronger because now it comes with this threat. So it's not just because your opponent makes a move and it's attacking this that you have to respond immediately. You guys have probably seen Gotham Chess's videos and you know that something that he always talks about is danger levels. And so this is a very clear-cut case of danger levels. So you can play this queen move here and threaten to play this mating idea with knight to f6 check, king slides over, and then checkmate here. So I will play this move. If he does play this move, then I can just take this pawn also. This is something I can choose to do. So we are running down low on time, so I will have to work on that a bit. So keep in mind that this is my first time ever recording a speedrun, so I will have to adjust some things along the way. But this is looking like a really good position. And if he plays f6, maybe we can get some more center control by bringing our rooks into the open files. So if I'm looking for a defense for him, this is the only defense I see. Nothing else seems to work. You could try and take this as well. But then I would take like this, and my pieces are still threatening to come in. Maybe I'm not even obligated to play recapture. Maybe I can just play knight into g5. And the weakness on his king speaks for itself. It looks like it's pretty unavoidable. So I can play e4, guys. I can play d4. I can play c4. Let me know what you want to see, and I will play that. I really want to make this instructive as possible. And my main goal is to help you guys get better at chess. It's basically how I make a living. I'm a chess coach and it's my main goal in life. I want to not just be the best myself and the best I can possibly be. I want other people to achieve that themselves and for themselves. So yeah, f6 is a hard move to see. f6 is the only saving move that black has, and the reason behind it being that now if I play this knight into here, then the rook takes, and that's not good for us. and I have no ideas of knight g5 anymore, because if f6, then this is not going to be a possibility. I did want to see if he would find it. I'm not sure this guy's going to make a move, and since he's been on and off about 4 times, I will just claim victory here. And we can analyze together. So we have just the basic standard opening. Like I said, we could play knight takes c5, but what I'm interested in is just hammering down on the importance of the principles and just getting as developed as quickly as possible. So knight c3, bishop d6, and you can already see that this is not a very good move here for the black pieces. You can't see the engine. I will work on that for next video, but for now it will have to be like this. The engine is giving 0.9 for white, and again it's this idea of the bishop blocking the pawn. So here bishop c4 is a very good developing move. It does drop down a bit, but again it's important to just develop and have a good position. Castles, best engine move. Knight c6 is the best move for him. And the engine doesn't like this move actually. Says it's equal because of take, 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 but I like it because now queen takes. And the point behind this is you're gonna have, again, the only center pawn in the game, and your queen is now developed. You only have this minor piece to develop, and your rooks are already gonna be conjoined. And the difference between this position and a Scandinavian, let's say, is that now there's no chance of him playing knight to c6, gaining tempo. So this is what you want to avoid, but since this isn't a possibility, it's fine here. You want to avoid giving your opponents too much tempi, because that will accelerate their developments. And again, it's all about you having the quickest development possible and them being as slow as possible. So what happens is e takes, I play knight takes, which is logical, and bishop to c5. Engine is giving knight to b3, knight takes c6, and it doesn't give knight f3, but that's okay. You'll see that it's not a bad move. So knight f3, okay, d6. He is now gaining somewhat control of the center, so he does control the square now, which is better than nothing, and he does open up this for his bishop. It could have been done more efficiently, but it's good that he ended up doing this. So bishop g5, also a very natural move. If he did play something like bishop to g4, notice that he has the same threats as we did, which is bringing his knight into the game, and this could be a bit annoying. Not that serious though, because we do have bishop back, which is always a good move to have. We could also just kick him out and play this move. If he tries to go here, then we would take here. Then knight takes, queen takes, and we win a piece. So he will not do that. If here and takes, we can just play queen takes, and we've already got our queen developed, and it's okay that he has this knight d4 move, because we would just play then queen to d3, defending this pawn, and our rooks are joined. He still has to develop his queen and deal with this problem here. So it's always going to be a give and take. a6, it doesn't really do anything principled, and so therefore I'm going to classify it as a bad move. It doesn't harm the position in the sense where if this were played in a different position, it would be considered bad, but in this case it's especially bad because there's going to be this knight d5 move, and I'm going to double his pawns. You can see the engine is giving good scores for white here. Knight d5, bishop b6 was the best move, so congratulations to him. Bishop takes was the best, pawn takes was the best, and queen d2 was the best. So this is a very easy way to play and find the best moves, because most times the best moves on the chessboard are going to be the most natural moves you can find, and that is really going to be something key to remember. So there's a saying where if your move isn't a natural move to play and it doesn't look natural or following the basic principles, it's either going to be a brilliance or it's going to be a blunder. And since everybody scores more blunders than brilliance, it tends to not work out. So f5 here, and you can see the score shoots up. Queen h6 is the best move. We're already bringing our pieces to the king side, and like I said, f6 was the best attempt. And if this were to happen, we would have options like takes. If bishop takes here, then this is really bad for him because of knight e7 check, and this is very close to mate. We're already picking up the bishop here, so you can't do this. He would have to play takes. And after takes, there would be check, king over, and we can still have our ideas about bringing our pieces to the king side even further. So this knight is already on the king side, but it can be better placed, and this pawn is pinned. So with this in mind, we can play something like knight h4 and knight into g6, and this is actually checkmate. So this was today's game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what openings you want me to play next. If you enjoyed, if something wasn't clear, give me some feedback. It always helps. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.